Reimagine RTD. My name is Julie Skeen. I'm a consultant for RTD, and I will be presenting in English. And we have Sebastian here, who's also part of our project team, will also be presenting in Spanish. Sebastian?
Hello, hola a todos. Mi nombre es Sebastián Montenegro. Yo también soy un consultor trabajando para RTD y voy a hacer la presentación en español. Esta es la presentación sobre el plan de optimización del sistema y dentro de poco empezaremos. Go ahead, Julie.
Terrific. So we will jump in. So we are going to present here. We have a few quick slides, and then really the rest of the meeting will be open to questions and comments. So we're excited to hear from you. We are talking about the Reimagine RTD project, which has two components. A short-term component, which we call the System Optimization Plan, or the SOP, which is really looking at taking a step back and looking at RTD's overall transit network to make sure it is efficient and meets the travel demand needs of the area and also meets within the budget limitations that RTD is facing. The System Optimization Plan will be implemented through 2027. There's a second piece to Reimagine RTD that we're not focusing on today, but we sure would love to have the opportunity to come back and talk to you about, is the Mobility Plan for the Future, which is our long-term vision for RTD between now and 2050. Sebastian?
Yes, go ahead, please. Go to the next slide.
Yep.
Gracias. ¿Qué es el Reimagine RTD? La visión general son dos planes. Uno es el SOP, por sus siglas en inglés, que significa Plan de Optimización del Sistema, y quiere rediseñar el servicio en base a necesidades y en base a la parte financiera. Y va desde aquí hasta el año 2027. El segundo es un plan de movilidad para el futuro que ve desde aquí hasta el año 2050. Intenta ver cómo se puede adaptar el sistema a ese futuro. En esta presentación nada más tocaremos el primer tema, el plan de optimización del sistema, el SOP. Gracias.
Thank you. So the basis of the SOP, so when we developed the System Optimization Plan, we relied on the guiding principles that were established by the RTD Board of Directors and formally approved last year. And these guiding principles were really the foundation for developing the SOP as we looked at reevaluating the entire route network for the system. So as you see, mobility, equity, financial, partnerships, workforce, and sustainability are all the objectives that we are trying to accomplish with this SOP.
Este plan se hizo con base en varios principios. Incluyen 6 principios y se desarrollaron el año pasado. Incluyen movilidad, equidad, parte financiera, asociaciones, la fuerza laboral y la sostenibilidad. Y todos se tomaron en cuenta para hacer este plan de optimización y para el futuro de RTD.
Great. So what is a system optimization plan? You know, really this is, again, it's looking at RTD's entire system and really going route by route and determining what is the best and effective use of RTD's finances and workforce to make sure that we're best meeting the needs of the traveling public. We developed this to focus on increasing ridership. You know, RTD has had quite the ridership impact, especially under COVID. To really look at the reliability and the efficiency of the system, that is definitely something we've heard a lot from our outreach efforts, is reliability is very, very important. And one of the main key things is making sure we're living within RTD's budget. Just like your household budget, RTD has a budget they have to live within, and this SOP really allows that out to provide the best service possible within the limitations that RTD has from a budget perspective, as well as workforce. Because RTD, as well as many transit agencies and companies across the country, are still struggling with identifying enough workers for operating and maintaining of vehicles.
Entonces, ¿qué es el plan de optimización del sistema, o SOP? El plan intenta aumentar el número de pasajeros que hoy en día no están a su punto más bajo, están a un punto muy bajos. Quiere también mejorar el rendimiento y eficiencia del servicio. También quiere garantizar la sostenibilidad del presupuesto, la parte financiera, que hoy en día, con el sistema que se tenía anteriormente, no estaba cumpliendo esas metas y no se estaba manteniendo en una manera sostenible. Además, quieren abordar cambios importantes de la pandemia que trajo, que hoy en día se están tomando en cuenta y que queremos ver cómo se puede mejorar el sistema en base en eso, en esta nueva realidad. Y además, queremos seguir siendo competitivos y mejorar la calidad de servicios. Entonces se tomaron esos temas y se hicieron 5 pasos para evaluar el sistema y para llegar a este plan. Go ahead, Julie.
Thank you. So what is our challenge? This, whether you're aware of this, RTD has one of the largest service areas in the country, over 2,000 square miles across 8 counties. They're all included within the RTD district. So our challenges with the limited resources, both financial and workforce, is how does RTD balance the providing the coverage to those individuals or the frequent service to those individuals that truly live in denser areas and truly need this system, don't have other options, don't have other vehicles, for example, versus the needs of the broader, more suburban areas with less density, but they're also paying into the system and are requiring service as well. So what you'll see with the SOP is our attempt to balance these two challenges, but this is a challenge because, of the feedback that we've received so far, 75, almost 80% of the feedback has been requests for additional service, which RTD would love to respond to. But again, we have this challenge of how much service we can put in the more dense areas and how much service we can spread out through the entire area.
Entonces, ¿cuál es el reto de RTD? Bueno, el área de RTD es gigantesca, es muy grande. Son 2.342 millas cuadradas de todo el espacio de Denver, que va desde Lone Tree y Parker hasta Longmont y Boulder. Es muy grande, incluye 8 condados. Y RTD tiene que equilibrar eso y además equilibrar la cobertura y la frecuencia de servicio. Hemos escuchado ampliamente la gente preguntando por queriendo más servicio. Una mayoría de las personas han pedido más servicio. Pero verdaderamente hay que evaluar si se puede y no se puede con la parte financiera y verdaderamente el área que cubre RTD. Julie?
Thank you. So what are we recommending as part of the SOP? To address these issues and these challenges, we really are focusing on simplifying the system, making sure we have really well-defined corridor routes, making sure the system is consistent. So if you have consistent meetups, so you can really make those transfers in a very efficient way. And reliability. And one of the key areas of reliability that we've addressed in the SOP is making sure we're eliminating these super, super long routes. Because with the very long routes, it is very difficult to stay on time just because of the length of the route. And so what you'll see in the SOP is breaking these routes, maybe one route into 2 routes, or maybe refiguring some of the routes to make sure that they're a little bit shorter and easier to make sure that we stay on time and provide on-time service.
Thank you, Julie. Entonces, ¿cuáles son las recomendaciones de este plan? La primera es simplificación. La idea es definir bien las rutas, los corredores, para que sean más sencillos para las personas y también para los usuarios y también para los choferes y también para todo el servicio de RTD. Además, consistencia. Queremos que los patrones de viajes sean más constantes durante todo el día, que el horario no cambie mucho, que no haya muchos picos, sino que sea muy constante durante todo el día. Además, si quieren sistemas, también un servicio más constante. Por último, la fiabilidad. Nos han dicho en muchas reuniones que la gente quiere tener más confianza en el servicio. Y la idea es hacer un servicio más confiable, además eliminando rutas muy largas que crean problemas en cómo hacer el itinerario de servicio y además en cómo traer el servicio de vuelta. Entonces, se van a eliminar ciertas rutas largas, se van a dividir en más pequeñas para tener más confianza. Judy?
Great, thank you. So a couple more slides here. A part of what we're doing as part of the SOP is really taking a look, and actually I can show you this way. So if you look at RTD's entire system, we've really taken a look and we've categorized all of the different routes into categories. So this first map, it shows the red lines are the rail lines. The yellow are what we call the community routes. The green are commute routes. The orange are connect routes. And the blue are core routes. What do we mean by this? Well, the core routes, the blues at the top, that's sort of the backbone of the system. Think of it as the overall backbone. That's the regional basis of what RTD does. It's about 41% of all the service hours. The connect routes are those local and bus and rail routes that feed into the backbone. So they're the ones that are connecting into this core. The commute routes are exactly that. They're focused on commuters. And so it's those routes that are specially designed to get individuals, say, to downtown or to the airport, to, some of the key locations for commuters for work. And then finally, the community routes, which are local routes that are really designed to meet the individual needs of what that community is requiring.
Gracias, Julie. Entonces, el servicio se dividió en varias categorías. Como presentamos ahora, son 4 categorías. La primera incluye la comunidad, la amarilla que pueden ver en el mapa. La segunda es la laboral o la de commute para distancias largas. La tercera es la conexión, que es anaranjada. Y la cuarta es el núcleo, el azul. Vamos a ver. El azul, el núcleo, es la columna vertebral del servicio. Es un servicio muy frecuente y verdaderamente es el backbone, la parte columna vertebral del servicio. La segunda es la conexión. ¿Cómo conecta las partes locales a estos buses de núcleos? La tercera es la laboral. Como decíamos, si van personas, estas son diseñadas para servicios regionales, por ejemplo, llevan Denver al aeropuerto o para trabajar de un suburbio, perdón, moverse de un suburbio a una ciudad como Denver. Y el último, la comunidad, que son específicas para dar un servicio en cada comunidad. Por ejemplo, hay unas en Boulder, otras en Denver, otras en otras comunidades que son muy específicas para esa comunidad.
Thank you. So what is the value of the SOP? So now that we've completed this draft document that we would love your thoughts on, what we're trying to accomplish is really increasing access to frequent service. And so what you'll see with the SOP as compared to September of last year, so we had to have sort of a comparison point. As of September of last year, the SOP is a 57% increase in the population that has access to frequent service. And by frequent service, we mean 15 minutes or better. It also, the SOP is really focused on those riders of the system that stuck with us during COVID. So those individuals and communities that rely on this system to get to work, maybe don't have other options from a transportation perspective. They don't have multiple car families, things like that. So for those particular types of populations and communities, it's a 15% increase in that super frequent service, that 15 minutes or better. And the SOP has increased service during the midday. Something we have heard through our outreach for this project so far is there is a need, especially for the communities that really rely on transit, to be able to get around during the middle of the day. It's not just a beginning of the day and the end of the day commuter service. They really want that service in the middle of the day. And as we mentioned before with our challenge, as you look at the routes in the system optimization plan, it's a balance. It's a balance between providing service in high frequency areas in more of the core and making sure that there is a level of service out to the suburbs and some of our less dense areas.
Really, I think the slide is still frozen. Do you mind moving it forward?
Okay, I'm moving it forward from my end. Here, I'll close it and I will reshare and we'll see if we can fix that real quick here. Sorry, everybody. Give us 1 minute.
Disculpen que la pantalla se quedó en la misma diapositiva anterior y no avanzado. I'm just trying to explain what happened.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, now I'm having problems with the presentation. Okay. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, now I can see it.
Oh, excellent. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. There we go.
Thanks. Perfect. Gracias. Entonces, ¿cómo mejorará el plan SOP el servicio de RTD? Bueno, primero, se va en base con el nivel de servicio que ofrecen en septiembre del año pasado, del 2021, se aumentará en un 57% el acceso de todo distrito a un servicio de 15 minutos o mejor. Eso quiere decir que también se aumentará, estará muy enfocado en las comunidades desfavorecidas. Favorecidas queremos decir personas con discapacidades, personas de bajos recursos, personas de color, personas mayores o jóvenes que no tienen acceso a vehículos. Esas son las personas desfavorecidas. Y habrá un aumento de un 50% para esas personas, enfocado en su servicio de 15 minutos. Además, habrá un aumento de un 20% del servicio de mediodía. El servicio de mediodía, como decíamos, es mejorar el servicio, tener un servicio constante en todo el día que garantice que las personas puedan tener más confiabilidad en el servicio. Por último, queremos hacer siempre un equilibrio entre el servicio frecuente en la parte densa de ciudades como la conexión a los suburbios.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll talk a little bit about public outreach. This is the tool, and I'll have Christina, if you wouldn't mind popping that website into the chat for those of the people that can see the chat. Otherwise, you'll see it on the screen here. This is the website. This is a fun tool. We hope you engage with it. It is a map-based tool that allows you to zoom in, click on different routes, and look at where do you live? Where are you commuting to? What are the routes that you're interested in? And you can click on the route and see a little bit more information about it. What is the potential change with the SOP? And you can also provide us comments directly through the tool itself on what your thoughts are. Oops, there we go. Sorry, Sebastian, go ahead.
Thank you. Gracias. Esto es una herramienta que estamos ofreciendo para el público para obtener comentarios y para que también las personas puedan ver con más en detalle las rutas que están proponiendo. Se pueden meter a esta herramienta que la gente está poniendo en el chat, Cristina está poniendo en el chat, y se pueden accederla y pueden ver las rutas que acabamos de explicar, ver las rutas futuras, ver las rutas anteriores que existían en el 2019 y ver cómo está cambiando el sistema. La idea es que las personas puedan interactuar, puedan ver bien el sistema y puedan proveer muchos comentarios para nosotros ajustar este diseño también a lo que la gente piensa y necesita.
Thank you. But that is not the only way to provide us feedback. We have this tool because we would like people to be able to really narrow in on the areas that they are interested in. But there are other ways to provide comments. Today, the rest of this meeting, we are very open and interested in any feedback that you have. We will be tracking all of our comments and providing a response document at the end of the process. You can set up individual meetings with us. If you know of a group or an association that needs translation services that is interested in this, we would be more than happy to set up an individual meeting with any sort of translation services you need. And we also have an email address, which will also pop in the chat, and a phone number. Any of these ways can be used to communicate with us and to let us know what your thoughts are on the SOP.
Estamos buscando verdaderamente llegar a todas las comunidades, obtener comentarios y obtener verdaderamente la información que la gente necesita para ver cómo está cambiando el sistema. La idea de presentar esto hoy es para que la gente esté bien informada y además pueda decir a sus amigos, compañeros, personas de la comunidad cómo acceder a esto y cómo proveer comentarios. Como la reunión de hoy, también podemos hacer una reunión específica para personas que así lo requieran, para una traducción específica en algún idioma o algún tema particular que quieran comentar. Además, como dijimos, pueden acceder a la herramienta que pusimos en el chat o nos pueden enviar un correo directamente al correo communityengagement@rtd/denver.com, que sería communityengagement@rtd/denver.com. La idea, como dijimos, es para que probar comentarios y nosotros verdaderamente tomar toda esta información y mejorar el plan. También pueden llamar al número 303-489-7792. Al final de esta presentación lo abriremos al público para que la gente pueda probar comentarios, dudas, cualquier cosa que necesiten y poder contestarle con mucho gusto. Tenemos personas aquí técnicas que nos ayudarán a contestar todas estas preguntas. Adelante, Julie. Go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is the bulk of the presentation. We have one more slide on next steps we can present here in a second, but really this is your time. Ask us questions, English or Spanish. We will translate. We have Bill Soroy, we have Doug Monroe, we have Christina Zazueta. So we have quite a few people here from RTD that can help us answer questions. So feel free to unmute yourself. Feel free to use the chat. What sort of questions do you have? What would you like to hear more about?
Entonces, aquí tenemos a personas como Bill Soroy, como Doug Monroe, como Cristina, que pueden proveer comentarios, respuestas técnicas a cualquier pregunta que ustedes tengan sobre el plan, sobre RTD y sobre verdaderamente cómo podemos proveer más información para ustedes. Por favor, siéntanse libres de hacer cualquier pregunta. Se me olvidó decir que el periodo de comentarios termina el 9 de febrero. Entonces, tenemos tiempo desde hoy hasta el 9 de febrero. Si tienen alguna duda, por favor, háganlo saber ahora mismo, o si no, más adelante, pero antes del 9 de febrero. Any questions? ¿Alguna pregunta? Go ahead.
Any thoughts? Well, do we have one in the chat? Oh, no, just putting in so you look at the chat if you'd like to see the link to the website. Other thoughts, any questions? And we can answer questions about specific route changes. We can answer questions about the process that we've put together, the next steps for the SOP, or anything related to RTD. We're more than happy to engage in.
¿Alguna pregunta sobre alguna ruta específica? ¿Alguna pregunta sobre el proceso que hicimos para este plan? ¿Alguna pregunta sobre algún tema específico que quiera saber, que le afecte a usted o a su comunidad? Háganos saber ahora mismo, o como dijimos, puede también contactar directamente a RTD, pero estamos disponibles para usted.
So give everybody a minute here as you're thinking. It's a quiet group today, catching you on a Friday. Well, while you're thinking about that, we have one, good. So Cheryl, are there any plans whatsoever to create a route that doesn't have to stop at Denver Union Station? I'm specifically targeting routes from the north end. Thank you. Sebastian, would you like to translate?
Yes.
And then we can have Doug respond.
La persona está preguntando si hay alguna ruta que no tenga que parar en Denver Union Station, específicamente para rutas que vienen del norte de la ciudad.
Okay. So it sounds like you're talking about Route 122X in that case. So we did consider how the service on North I-25 worked, and given how ridership has responded during the pandemic and our resource constraints over the next 5 years, Route 122X was left out of the system optimization plan. I guess I'll add that the free metro ride is part of the system optimization plan. It would eventually plan to bring that service back. I know that still involves a transfer at Union Station, but given the goals of the system optimization plan, and as far as providing a good all-day service on the North I-25 corridor, it was chosen to go with the Route 120X for that service through the 2027 SOP.
Gracias, Doug. Doug acaba de comentar que la ruta 122X, que es a la que se refieren, se consideró para el plan, y al final se determinó que no se va a continuar con esa ruta, que se analizó la parte de abordajes, la parte del sistema, cómo funciona hoy en día, y se determinó que esa ruta no va a continuar, pero que sí va a continuar la 120X. Además, existe también el Free Metro Ride que conecta con esta ruta, y la idea es que esta 120X proporcione todo el servicio a la parte norte.
Terrific. Thank you so much for that question. Other thoughts, other questions?
¿Alguna otra pregunta, alguna otra discusión, algún otro tema que quieran saber? Con mucho gusto que estamos disponibles.
Well, while you're thinking about it, we do have one more slide in the next steps. So you guys keep thinking about questions, and we'll give you a quick heads up. Public and stakeholder feedback it's going to be open through February 9th. And then we are taking everyone's feedback. We're going to respond to all the comments we receive, and we're going to revise the draft SOP that is online and bring it to the RTD Board of Directors in March for their approval. And the staff will incorporate absolutely as many comments as possible, given the understanding that we are in a situation where there is limited funding and limited workforce available at this time. So, and then just a reminder that this is not a decision that's made today. These changes will be implemented slowly over the next few years to be completely implemented by 2027.
Gracias, Julie. Los próximos pasos van a ser que vamos a abrir esto al público, como estamos haciendo hoy y como hemos hecho ya desde unas semanas. La idea es seguir recibiendo comentarios y tomarlos en cuenta desde aquí hasta el 9 de febrero. En base a esos comentarios, el equipo revisará el borrador y verá los cambios que son necesarios hacer. En base en eso, se presentará este borrador a la Junta Directiva y se tomará una decisión el 22 de marzo si la Junta lo aprueba o no. Además, queremos enfatizar que respondemos a todos los comentarios y todos serán tomados en cuenta. Así que, por favor, promueva y provee todos los comentarios que desea. Por último, esto es un proceso gradual. No es definitivo hoy. Va a ser un proceso de aquí al 2027. Se va a revisar cada 4 meses el sistema y se van haciendo pequeños avances y pequeños cambios graduales de aquí al 2027.
Thank you. We did get one more comment. Will there be a Flatiron Flyer bus going back to Civic Center Plaza?
Entonces, Carolyn pregunta que si va a haber un Flatiron Flyer bus desde aquí, desde que va al Civic Center Plaza.
Okay. Yes, there is a, so the branch FF4 is planned as part of the SOP. And I realized that the FF7 previously operated on part of that route as well, serving the US 36 and Sheridan Station. The plan for the FF4 is that it would actually have a stop added at the US 36 and Sheridan Station, so that all the previous stations that were covered by service into Civic Center would again have service on the Flatiron Flyer.
El servicio de Flatiron Flyer se refería al FF4 que paraba en Sheridan, y sí se ha tomado en cuenta y sí se va a reincorporar. Esa también era parte del FF7. Y let me just, Doug, can you clarify if the FF7 is the one that is coming back, or is the FF4 coming back?
The FF4 is coming back, covering part of service that was previously offered by the FF7.
Okay, thank you. Disculpen el problema aquí. El FF4 sí viene y va a cubrir parte del servicio que proveía el FF7.
Terrific. Thank you so much. We have another question. Let's see. We constantly hear RTD does not have enough resources. How many bus drivers and rail operators does RTD currently have, and how many is RTD short to achieve optimal current service? Sebastian?
Sí, escuchamos constantemente que RTD tiene problemas con los resources, con los financiamiento. Muchas veces es parte también de problemas con personal, problemas de choferes, problemas de operadores. Entonces la pregunta es, ¿cuántos operadores existen hoy en día y cuántos necesitan verdaderamente traer de vuelta para poder operar eficientemente?
Doug, do you have thoughts on that one?
I can give my thoughts on it. I don't have firsthand knowledge on this, but I guess pertaining directly to this topic, the Denver Post had an article just this past week that dealt with this directly. And I'm just going to read off a couple things from that. We're short 174 bus operators. We're short 15 light rail operators, short 37 mechanics right now. So those are just some of the resource constraints that is in the public as far as RTD's resource shortages there. I'll put the link to that article in the chat here.
Terrific.
Thank you. There's a follow-up in that question. Should we answer that before I go?
Well,
Or?
this one, yeah, let's answer this one and then we'll go back to that next follow-up, if that's all right.
Okay. Decía Doc que verdaderamente es un número grande, pero no está definido. El Denver Post mencionó que, por ejemplo, hoy en día tenemos un faltante de 174 operadores de bus, 15 operadores de tren y 37 mecánicos. Solo para dar un ejemplo de lo que se necesita.
Terrific, thank you. And then there was a follow-up, because things are currently so fluid and could dramatically change even in 1 year, will there be consistent feedback regarding these changes in the next 5 years? Sebastian, would you like to answer?
Sí, como las cosas son muy fluidas y puede cambiar todo un año, pregunta que si va a haber feedback, que si va a haber respuesta constante en los próximos 5 años de cómo puede cambiar este servicio.
So I can answer that one. Absolutely. Absolutely. RTD recognizes that the world is changing very rapidly, as you know. Nobody's expecting a lot of what we've been through over the last couple of years. And so that's the reason for the implementation of the system optimization plan over the next few years as resources and finances allow. And what's great about this is each of the pieces of the SOP, as they get moved forward into implementation, there'll be another round of public outreach. And so this is not your last opportunity to take a look at this. As each of these route recommendations are put into place, there'll be another outreach session that RTD will lead to make sure that we're communicating with all of our riders.
Sí, definitivamente sí hay espacio para más conversación, sí hay espacio para verdaderamente recibir más información y tomar decisiones. Es un proceso lento de aquí a 5 años, gradual, y poco a poco se van tomando decisiones y se van cambiando esos cambios. La idea es que cada vez que se presente un cambio, se ponga hacia público y la gente pueda probar información y verdaderamente ajustarlo a esa decisión. Entonces, por favor, siga probando información y siga tomando en cuenta y proveyendo más preguntas y dudas. A nosotros con mucho gusto le podemos ir contestando.
And so the follow-up question, will they change through the 4-month service change process? Do you mean the SOP recommendations, Karen? And feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to just talk to us.
Hi there, this is Karen. I was actually, is it going to change through the actual service change process we have in place right now?
Yes.
So that's how we'll be notified through the regular process. It's not going to be a special SOP change that we're not going to be aware of.
Absolutely. Okay. You're absolutely right. It is absolutely through the service change process. So there'll be public meetings, there'll be announcements, there'll be notifications in the press, absolutely, months in advance of anything changing in the system.
Okay, that's excellent. Okay, very transparent. Thank you.
No, thank you. Sebastian?
Thank you, Karen. Karen preguntaba que si va a cambiar cómo se hace hoy en día. Hoy en día tiene un sistema de 4 meses, cada 4 meses revisa y se presenta al público el plan que se va a implementar por esos 4 meses. Eso no va a cambiar, eso va a seguir y además eso se va a ajustar a eso. Se va a presentar los cambios en base en ese plan y la gente puede aportar información una vez que se ponga público para que las personas cambien y tomen decisiones en base en ese plan. Entonces no va a cambiar, va a seguir igual y se va a seguir implementando esos 4 meses. Ese sistema de 4 meses. Go ahead, Julie.
Thank you. These have been great questions. What else? What else would you like to ask about? Anything else we'd like to discuss today?
¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿Alguna otra pregunta sobre un tema específico? ¿Sobre el plan? ¿Sobre el proceso?
Hi, this is Karen again, and I apologize. I know it was discussed that the 120X would be is the one that was decided on to go down to DUS. And I wasn't sure if I heard why that was the case instead of Civic Center.
Okay. Well, let's let Sebastian translate the question and then we'll have Doug give us routes.
Yes, sorry, I just didn't know which way. Disculpen, no sabía si ir primero o no. La pregunta es que si es el 120X el que se quiere mantener y si va a seguir va a ir al Denver Union Station o no. Esa es la pregunta. Go ahead, Doug.
So in the goals that we were trying to accomplish with the SOP in terms of simplification and providing consistent all-day service and looking at the ridership patterns on the on the North I-25 corridor on the Route 120X and 122X, especially through COVID and how many passengers are riding, to meet the goals of having that consistent, regular all-day service. And especially during the peak, having it frequent enough that it's attractive for passengers to use. It really only made sense to offer one service on that corridor. And in looking at how things operate all day and where passengers are going to, especially during the midday, most of the passengers are going to and from classes at the Auraria campus. Just in terms of having that simple, well-defined one route that's offered, it was decided to recommend that Route 120X be the route that's offered there.
Okay, and that's what I didn't understand. And now that you've mentioned the schools, that makes a little more sense to me of why that couldn't be routed through Civic instead of DUS. Mm-hmm. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
La pregunta era que sí, la pregunta era sobre el 120X y Doug contestó que sí, que se decidió entre el 120X porque habían 2 corredores y al final se tomó en cuenta cuál sería el servicio más regular y el servicio durante todo el día. Se tomó en cuenta también cómo ha cambiado el servicio hoy en día y cómo la gente lo está usando en el tiempo de COVID y cuál sería el servicio más eficiente. Se determinó que el 120X es el mejor que puede capturar todo servicio y además puede proveer un sistema más constante. Además, se piensa que va a poder ser un sistema más simple y puede proveer mejor servicio.
Thank you. We appreciate the questions. What else? What other thoughts out there? This is your opportunity. You can ask us anything. We're gonna have all the answers.
¿Algún otro detalle? Con mucho gusto, esta es la oportunidad de preguntarnos. Que estamos para usted.
All right. Well, I'll leave you with this. Looks like we've captured most of the questions. I will leave you with these two slides, this one and this one. Basically reminding you, you get out of this meeting, you think, oh, I wish I'd asked this. Feel free to email us. Feel free to call us. The information is in the chat, or we would love for you to go online and take a look at the tool and provide us comments that way as well. So we really, really appreciate your time. We appreciate your questions, and we appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you about this. So with that, I think we'll wrap up. Unless anybody has any last-minute questions, I think we're in good shape.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿Algún otro detalle? Los dejamos con esta presentación. Pusimos en el chat ahí el correo, también el sitio web. Si quieren meterse ahí, pueden hacer otra pregunta. Por favor, adelante, tienen desde aquí hasta el 9 de febrero para proveer comentarios, para tomar discusiones, para hacernos saber lo que ustedes piensan y cómo podemos mejorar este plan de sistema. Si no hay más preguntas, pensamos que hasta aquí va a llegar la reunión, pero muchas gracias por tu tiempo y muchas gracias por estar hoy aquí con nosotros.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful Friday.
Tengan un buen día, un buen viernes y un buen fin de semana. Pasen buen día. Adiós.